County. I don't know what county that is, but we're going to cover that here just in a moment. And she is facing, as she stated, she's been up crying all night. She's facing the chance of losing her children tomorrow, um, Monday, which would be Monday, which heard to get her story out, and hopefully someone in that area who knows what's going on and can help her will perhaps be able to help her. So that's the reason for this broadcast. And essentially, what we're going to do is just have Denisha tell her story. Denisha Walton, thanks so much for joining us here on Northwest Liberty News.
Hi, my name is Denisha Walton. I'm a victim of CPS corruption slash child profit services. I'm starting my own organization called Never Back Down, and I'm the CEO name of it. A lot of my pages got closed down because of the agency. Like I had a LinkedIn account and a Nextdoor account, and all my accounts got deleted and stuff just because of me exposing these monsters. And I'm telling my story from the beginning until now. So how it started 5 years ago, me and my husband used to be drug addicts, drinking, doing a lot of stuff we wasn't proud of, and we got our life together. We changed for the better of our kids, and we moved to San Francisco in 2019. And we always had a troubled daughter who was constantly always in trouble and didn't want to listen. She snuck a boy in her house, had sex, and she used to try to tell our younger kids to do stuff when we was telling them not to do it, like, basically like a bad role model. I have another 18-year-old and a 16-year-old as well that's home with me. And CPS had already came to my house in September 2021 when my daughter tried to kill herself because her boyfriend broke up with her, and then she told them information that we was abusing the kids and like a lot of false information. And they came to my home, did an intake one time, seen my kids. They was happy. We had everything in the home for them. I live in a 7-bedroom house, so. And they closed it out. And then when my daughter left out of town with a friend of a family, she had told them the same thing that happened 5 years ago. And so they made a new report about it saying, are we beating the kids and stuff like that, which was false. And then they took my kids. March 4th, 2022 was the worst day of my life, because I didn't know my rights. I didn't really know much about CPS. I ain't never thought I had to worry about them. So I'll go up to my kid's school on March 4th, 2022, to go get him because he had an early dentist appointment. And I was told by the school that they can't release my kids to me. Mind you, CPS wasn't even there yet. So where's y'all warrant? Did they fax y'all warrant or something? And in the case, that wasn't it. They just say CPS called and said, we can't release the kids to you. So I'm waiting at the school for like an hour, waiting on CPS to come up there. And then they tell me about, oh yeah, we got to report you abusing the kids and this and that and all type of false information. And they didn't have no warrant. And mind you, again, I didn't know my rights, so I agreed for them to take my kids because I thought I was going to get them back. They was like
Denisha,
basically
let me
only
stop you
one.
for a second. Let me ask you a question, just flat out. Do you abuse your children, Denisha? Do you abuse your kids?
No,
Okay, I just wanted to get that on record. Please
yeah.
continue.
So I talked to them and they said that most likely my 16-year-old, the one who made the report, was not going to come home, but the rest of the kids will come home. And she told me that and told my 17-year-old at the time and my 15-year-old at the time that they'd be home in a couple of days. And I even met her around the corner to give her the rest of I meant to meet her with the rest of my kids that was at home because 4 was in school, 4 was at home. So we drove around the corner and basically handed over our kids because we thought they was coming back home within a few days, like we was told by the social worker Claudia Sanchez. So, and after that, we didn't even go to court for like I think almost a week, and now I'm just finding out it's supposed to be in 72 hours or something like that. And and then we had a biased judge that just believed everything they said, and they could go in there and just be like, "Oh, we coached the kids at a supervised visit," and the judge was like, "Oh, I don't like that. Took my husband's visits away when the visits is supervised, and they didn't have no information proving that." Our first court date, they took my husband's visits away, and it's just these people is just horrible. And then they didn't have no evidence to back up the abuse, and my kids was not in imminent danger.
Do you have an attorney? Did you pay for an attorney to be able to afford an attorney?
No, I'm my fourth court appointed attorney.
And what's been your experience with the court appointed attorneys? How have they treated you in your estimation?
Well, they've been quitting because I've been doing stuff my own. I've been filing motions on my own, and like a lot of evidence I try to give them. That's why we lost trail because of the lawyer. She didn't submit my information, and now it's like you under jurisdiction. But that was like I got cheated because they didn't submit my evidence.
Do you feel like you were given proper due process, Denisha?
No, 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 no. And it's like they sit there and kept my kids in foster care over lies. They didn't have no evidence. So the social worker hated us so much to where she made evidence appear. Like they end up exposing my kids to porn. My kids never talked, behaved inappropriately until they went to foster care. I have letters from teachers. I live next door to a state police detective, and I got letters from principals from where my kids used to go to school at, and all these support letters. I got a letter from the lady down the street who worked at Safeway. I got a letter from my nurse who used to come to my house and draw my blood twice a month. I mean, twice a week. And all these support letters never even got submitted to the court. It's like everybody who was on our side, they didn't want to have nothing to do with it. They basically already had in their head that we keeping your kids
Yeah, that's
because
pretty indicative. That's not uncommon. As a matter of fact, we've had folks on the show with transcripts where the judge in the family court has stated that we don't want you to bring the Constitution into this courtroom. It's a complete sham. It's not a court of record. The whole entire Child Protective Services and all that whole system is it's an out of control child kidnapping corporation. It's a corporation. They're incorporated. This
yeah,
is
it's
all
all about money.
it's all a big sham. It's all a big fraud and a scam. They don't really care about your kids. They care about the government
Right.
money that's coming in. And yeah, no, you nailed it. You nailed it. These people are crooks. These people are crooks. They're criminals. It's a criminal organization. It's the largest child trafficking and money laundering organization in the country. Is Child
Oh yeah.
Protective Services. So I've got some documents up here, right here on the screen. Denisha, you sent me some documents here, and I just want to, for sake of the folks that are watching here, I'm going to go over this doc here and let me know. This looks like it's from Martha Lai. I have follow-up questions, hoping you can help or direct me. Irma Hernandez, I've heard that name. You just mentioned her a minute ago, right?
Hmm.
Not friendly to you and your plight, I'm sure.
Them all social workers. Them what I handed you is hidden emails that was
Oh,
in the discovery. That because I requested discovery from my attorney, which that means it includes all the visit notes, all the emails from like them sending back to forth to each other, and they tried to be sneaky and cross as you see stuff is crossed out like blacked out, and they thought I wasn't going to go through it. I got like 5 emails from her. One was 600 some pages, and you think I'm not about to go through it? And that's how I discovered this information, mind you. I'm not even done going over all the discovery.
yeah, I am. I'm looking at some of that. Hmm.
And they they tested my kids for sexual diseases. Like, why would you guys test my kids for sexual diseases when they're
Well,
kids?
they're trying to use it probably against you. If they had one, they would say that you're responsible. What they're trying to do is they just try to have anything they can do to just to pile on to you, so you lose your children. This is their
Yeah,
they make a lot of money.
yeah. And then I got emails of Tracy Barnes. She's the head of the agency, and I see her emailing other people saying, remember the big case I was talking about, the 10 Walton kids abused? And I got basically them bragging about how big the case is and them telling people, welcome to the team. And like, yeah, that's a lot of money for y'all if my kids was to stay in foster care. 10 kids.
Oh, it's an unbelievable cash cow. It's crazy how much money is involved. So you've your counsel has done nothing for you. Your public defender. Obviously, your pleas to the courts probably are falling on deaf ears. Um, do they listen to the children in any of this? You sounds like your three children at least wanted to come back and live with you. Do
No,
you?
no, no, I'm sorry to cut you off, but my 16-year-old, they only let her come home because she ran away from foster care and ended up getting raped under their care.
Oh goodness.
And that's why they let her come home. And my oldest, she's already 18, so she was already home. And the seven little ones, five of them live in Tracy, and they constantly making disclosures at visits. I got video recordings of my kids saying that the daycare people even mistreat them, and it's like they all connected. Like, you'll be surprised how many people they have backing them up, and it's a shame. You got schools, hospitals, police officers, and it's just not right. It is just not right the way they did my family. My kids has been abused. My son got picked up early from school because his butt was bleeding, and I didn't know that, and they didn't tell us.
Why was your son's butt bleeding? Please don't tell me it's because we think what we think it is. We're not talking about any
Oh,
abuse, are we?
yes, we is. Let me tell you something. So this past March 22nd, I handed you the notes. I don't know if you read them yet, but it's from March 22nd, 2023. And it's notes from the supervision people where visits take place, and they send every note to the agency. So basically, it's like they always lie and say we coach the kids, but how if our visits extra strict and supervised, and you guys have notes that's saying the kid said this? It ain't nowhere in the notes saying we coached kids or anything.
How
Mind you,
hold on a minute. How old is your son that has his anus was bleeding?
hey,
8 years old, and he is in foster care right now.
yes,
And
and I'm
no,
about to explain the notes to you. They at this visit, my 7-year-old daughter was talking about her private part is always hurting, and she tell the foster mama she don't do nothing, right? And then my son, my 8-year-old son, was saying that his throat always hurting and stuff, and he can't swallow or something like that. And mind you, all this is in the notes. 3 days later, that email I seen, my son got picked up from school because his butt was bleeding after our visit. 3 days after our visit, but we didn't know about none of this.
yeah, I can't even tell you that. I can't even. I don't want to repeat on over open
My
mic
my,
here
my
what
husband,
I would do.
my husband is furious right now.
Yeah,
He's furious right now. And
yeah.
we've been up crying all night. We praying, and it's like these people was constantly covering stuff up, constantly covering stuff up,
How about
and
law?
it's
How about your sheriff? Is your sheriff worth anything there? Is the sheriff? What county are you in?
San Francisco County,
You're in San Francisco County. How about this?
and
How about? I'm sure the sheriff is not a constitutional sheriff there in San Francisco County. Probably a part of the establishment. I imagine is this good sheriff or not a good sheriff?
no, we made a So I contacted a whistleblower, right? He gave my information to the special victim unit out here in San Francisco, which they was no help because the officer they put on the case was the same officer who was at the forensics interview doing the wrongdoing of the forensics interview. And I sent him all my evidence, recordings, everything. He texted me talking about he not investigating my information because I cut the recordings. When I told him I didn't cut the recordings, they were screen recordings. He said, well, I'm not investigating until you send me all of it. Like basically accusing me of having more information that I didn't have. Then basically on the agency side, talk about you in conspiracy and this and that. Like mind you, I gave him it was a what is it, a statement or something from somebody I found online from the social worker doing the same thing to another family, making false reports. The same social worker that I need to call her, and I gave it to the officer. He said, "Oh, that could be nothing. It could be somebody hating on social work." Like everything I was saying, he was throwing bombshells at.
Yeah. So what happens? What's happened is, unfortunately, and you probably figured this out already. You've probably stumbled onto like a child trafficking ring or something. There is what they do. And when I say that, I mean that they'll be transferring your children to one foster care to another, always collecting money. They're going to collect. How many children do you have? And how many children are they threatening to take from you? Did you say you had 7 children they're threatening to take?
Yep, 7, and 2 of them is I got a 1-year-old baby and a 2-year-old as well, and then I have my 5-year-old, my 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and 10-year-old that's living in Tracy. And I discovered emails of them trying to place my kids in a different foster home without us knowing because the foster mom couldn't handle it.
I
But
mean,
they
the
still
money, the
in.
money they're pulling in. The money they're pulling in is just it's.
I think we in some type of big ring as well because police that that didn't want to accept my evidence for misconduct.
Yeah, the
So
West Coast is really, really bad for it. The West Coast is really, really bad. My suggestion to you guys, if you can somehow manage to get your children back, you want to bail out of that hellhole.
well, oh yeah, we moving once we get our kids back because they already got us flagged. They got everybody looking at us and
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
sabotaging our family. You know?
yeah. There'll be no rest for you in that town.
Yeah,
There'll be no
I
rest for you in
know,
that town.
but
Okay, so
I'm
what
never gonna stop though.
what can we do to help? What can people do to help that are watching this broadcast? How can they help you? Can you tell us how we can help?
Please share my story. My 10-year-old, she tried to kill herself, and they didn't even tell me about it. I have emails of them bragging about keeping the information from me with them talking to the social worker at the hospital. The social worker at the hospital was like, the biological mom keep calling. I didn't give her no information, and I didn't tell her your daughter that she was getting discharged today. So, and they was bragging about that. And mind you, my 10-year-old is one of my happiest kids in my home. She'll walk in the house and put a smile on everybody's face, and now she has mental problems. And then they made her sign off on her own medicine. She's taking medication without my knowledge.
So they let a 10-year-old sign off on their own medication?
I have medical papers I seen where it says on there only some minor sign for the mental health treatment and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Denisha, you've got caught up in a crime ring. Well, all we can do is continue to pass your story around, and hopefully, it falls upon the right person's ears, and they can we have a limited amount of course ability here. We're just going to report and give you an opportunity to tell your story,
And a
and
lot of
hope.
people quit. The DA quit. Like it's a new DA now. My kid's lawyer quit because I did a background check on her and I discovered that she was using a fake identity.
Yeah,
Like I did background checks on all of
it's a
them. I'm not
gaggle of
playing.
crooks. It's a gaggle of crooks.
Yeah.
It's a gaggle of criminals. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Um, well, folks, there you go. That's what Denisha is asking. If you can pass this around and share this around, and let people know about it. She is a crime victim from the San Francisco CPS, San Francisco County, there in California. Denisha, before we go ahead
Oh,
and go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to say another thing. The the forensics interview. So my son says on I have transcripts, right? And he says on there the social worker Donita told him to show the assessor porn. Because my son was like, "Can I see a laptop? I need to show you something." And she was like, "Why do you need my laptop?" He said, "Because I need to show you porn." She said, "Why do you need to show me porn?" He said, "Because Donita said," which is the social worker, and it says that on there. And then in the beginning, she says her name is Caroline. My son said Caroline, basically like she like, "You remember my name?" He said Caroline. She said, "That's right, Caroline. Tell me why the officer gonna say the forensics interviewer people, the transcript people messed up because nobody by that name even works there. So whoever did the forensics interview used a fake identity. And then he tried to say the transcript people
So
must have
are
messed
the
up on
people that
the
even
identity.
work for the San Francisco CPS really the people that they say they are? I mean, are they using fake identities to get jobs at the San Francisco CPS, and they're actually in charge of making decisions whether your children get taken from you, and these people are not even really who they say they are? Is that really
Right.
that bad? Is it really, really that bad?
It's bad. It's that bad. It's that bad. And me, I keep telling them I'm never gonna stop. Like my CEO name Lego, never back down. I swear to God, when my kids come home, I'm gonna help other families because I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I do real good investigation.
That's reprehensible. Reprehensible what's been going on to you, Denisha. Well, is there anything you'd like to say here before we close out the interview? Anything they could say in closing? Um, Again, make a plea out to the folks. Let them know how they can help. If there's a number they can call, it's at the San Francisco DA or the CPS. Your trial's on Monday. Your hearing's on Monday. So, I'll turn it over to
Oh,
you and give you some time to go ahead and say some last words. Denisha, go ahead.
I feel like I can't even get help. My family can't even get help because, for one, everybody I reached out to for help, they forwarded it to the agency. Everybody, the DA. I even reached out to who is it, the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, I think that's her name. I even reached out to her, and everybody I reached out to sent my message, like forwarded it to the agency. Like basically, look, she tried to reach out to us. Like it's that bad. Like
Well, it's probably a little bit of that. And it's a little bit of just people are lazy and don't want to do anything. They just want to pass the buck too. So they just don't want to deal with it. They just, well, there's already an agency that deals with that. Let's turn it over to them. Yeah, you've unfortunately you've come across an organized crime ring. Looks like in a very corrupt system. So really, as you were saying earlier, praying and having people pass your story around. Hopefully, it gets across to the right people, and they can give you a hand. Um,
my if people want to reach me, my email is all lowercase letters, no spaces, N like Nancy, E like egg, S like Sam, H like ham, A like apple, J like jar, U like umbrella, S like Sam, T like tiger, I like ice, N like Nancy, numbers 200732 at gmail.com.
all right, very good.
And and I just want everybody to pray for my family. That's all I'm really asking right now is prayers and to share my story because I know we're not the only ones going through it, And
No, we're not.
I'm my kid's voice. I'm my kid's voice.
That's right.
The agency is trying to take my kids and speak for my kids, and I I am my kid's voice, and I feel like I deserve to be heard. They trying to silence me. Every little thing I do, they try to silence me. I made like 3 LinkedIn accounts and they kept deleting it. And I just got tired of doing it, so I didn't do it no more because I kept making it and they kept removing it.
Denisha, we're just coming to the end of the interview. Thanks so much for being here. We'll certainly have everybody out there pray for her, pray for Denisha for Monday, and Godspeed to you.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for here, folks.